through in more detail our 2021 sustainability report. What have we been doing? What are the exciting things that we have planned, and how this has contributed to improving the whole discussion on sustainability. And then thereafter, we will, of course, I'll come back to share some perspectives from a Nigerian point of view, because Lisa will take us through the entire operations, what Tetra Pak as a company worldwide is doing, and then we'll take some question and answer. Okay, so Lisa, if you are ready, over to you.
Thank you so much, Aruna. Then let me get to my presentation. I hope everyone can see my presentation now, my slides.
Yes, we can see it.
So hello everyone from Sweden and Tetra Pak in Lund. As Aruna said, I'm Vice President for Corporate Social Responsibility at Tetra Pak, and it's a pleasure to be here today to be able to share with you some of the highlights from our 2020 sustainability report that I hope will make you interested in exploring it further and learning more through our reading the report itself. Before I go into the specifics of the sustainability report, I would like to provide you some context about Tetra Pak and why we think it's so important to address sustainability challenges and contribute in topics such as decarbonizing the value chain, biodiversity, and increasing recycling of packaging. So it all starts with the purpose of our company, which is guiding our work across the world every day. And that is that we commit to making food safe and available everywhere, and that we promise to do that in a way that protects what's good, protecting food, people, and the planet. So actually, I mean, sustainability is not something that is new to us. So in this purpose and in this promise and commitment that we have was already set, you could say, from the start of the company, where our founder, Ruben Rausing, was a believer and built the company on that a package should save more than it costs, which was his motto. And with that, of course, even though the world looked very different at that time, it meant already from the beginning that by designing a high performance package, you are able to better distribute, transport, and provide food to more people in more places in an efficient and more affordable way. So that has been at the core for us from the start in 1951. We have also been doing environmental annual reporting for quite a long time, since 1999. And we did the first life cycle analysis already in 1986. So this is very much something that it's not new, but as the world changes, and of course we all learn and get more and more facts, we also are very important to us to kind of keep up with the science and how we can contribute to the stakeholders and our stakeholders and the wider society. So in terms of, I mean, you can talk about what we do in sustainability, but as a foundation or as a base for how we do business, which of course cuts across everything that we do, the United Nations Global Compact 10 Principles is a foundation in which we are a signatory to. And that means that we really believe in this responsible industry leadership and the difference that business can make in all adhering to these principles. And when it comes to then our approach to sustainability, there are three aspects I would like to highlight. So one is that we built this on three pillars, and that is food, people and the planet, which represents also connects to our purpose that I showed, where we see ourselves, in our vision to make food safe and available everywhere, and that we do this then in protecting food, so food safety, food availability, reducing food loss and waste is at the core. When it comes to people and protecting people, it means, of course, both the people in our company, our stakeholders, the communities where we operate, the consumers, and all people in our value chain. And for the planet is everything we do related to the environment and how we can contribute to do business within the planetary boundaries and contributing to the SDGs. So that's one aspect. The other aspect I want to highlight is that when we look at sustainability, we look at our impact across the value chain. So we don't only look at our own operations in isolation. So we see ourselves as an actor in the food industry and look at what is on these topics that are so important to society, what is our impact across the value chain, and how can we make a difference? And thirdly, the third perspective I would like to highlight, and it's a little bit integrated here in the text on the slide. We provide our products each day to meet the needs of hundreds of millions of people in more than 160 countries. So obviously it's very important for us that we combine a global view and a global approach and leveraging that scale with a local understanding and adaptation, because many of the issues, some issues are very global, but other issues have to be addressed in the local context, such as collection and recycling, for instance. So these are the three kind of perspectives that are very much at the core when we approach sustainability questions. And to be able to know what we're going to do and to prioritize correctly among all of this is very important for us to understand, of course, the advances in knowledge and science, but also to understand our stakeholders. And I want to share here in this session one of those perspectives, which is from the consumer landscape and based on our Tetra Pak index now in 2021. The Tetra Pak index report is an annual consumer research that show how the consumer landscape changed when it comes to topics for food and beverage industry. And you can see the results here on the question of what issues facing the world today are most worrying to consumers. You can see the results for 2020 and 2021. And one thing that we learned from this report, of course, is that we can see that both in 2020 and 2021, COVID-19 is unexpected or expectedly, I would say, in the top of worrying concerns for consumers. But you can see right in number 2, we can see environmental issues. And I think this is not something that has always been like this. So environmental issues is on top of economic issues, for instance. And you can also see that food safety and future food supplies is also quite high at 36% of consumers saying this is one of the most worrying issues of today. So with this in mind, we really see that Tetra Pak has a role to play in addressing these concerns and challenges. So if we move over then to talk a little bit more about or elaborate a little bit about the food systems and how we see our role. I mean, to start with, the food systems today, we see that they are unbalanced, unsustainable, and wasteful. And what do we mean by that? I mean, first of all, if we look on the more the people side of things, we know that many millions of people go to bed hungry every night today. We have malnutrition, but we also have, of course, problems with diseases, obesity, and not only undernutrition, but also malnutrition. And we have a rising global hunger. On the other hand, we also know that the food, or if we look at all the food that is created today, nearly 1/3 is lost or wasted. And at the same time, we have with the growing population, we expect the demand for food to really increase up to 70% until 2050. So we have this imbalance between the demand for food for people and then the amount of food that is wasted and that is available. And to add on this, if we look at the environmental challenges, if we look at climate change, for instance, we know that the food systems is a major contributor and something that has to be addressed to succeed with reaching or reducing climate change. And we can see today that food systems is actually 1/3 of the global greenhouse gas emissions. And I think also, just to come back to what Aruna said in the beginning, we also share on this slide, it's also mentioned that COVID-19 has, of course, also kind of highlighted some of these issues when it comes to securing food supplies and the resilience of the food supplies in societies. So how do we then see Tetra Pak's role in addressing some of these, very big, very global issues? I think it starts, of course, with our role as a leading food processing and packaging supplier, where we see that we have a role where we can work with customers and other partners to address some of these challenges in transforming the food system. So one of the keys is, of course, to the base of our business, which is aseptic food packaging, and how that can help in reducing food waste and provide more food to more people in more places. But it's also about sharing our expertise. We have in Tetra Pak, we have very advanced expertise in food processing and packaging when it comes to food safety, but also when it comes to processing many different types of food that can be important to a more sustainable food system in the future, such as alternative proteins, for instance, plant-based foods. And we are also making big since long time, but also increasing efforts in our journey to what we call the most sustainable food package, which we describe as a food package that is only made from renewable and recycled materials, and that is carbon neutral and fully recyclable. So these are some of the things where how we see our role in transforming food systems. So with that little bit of framing and context, I want to go into providing you with some of the highlights for each of the food, people, and planet areas. And then I will finish with just a few bits and pieces of what is happening actually in 2021 and a little bit what's next. So to start with food, which we were just on the topic of, we have selected a few highlights to share with you on this slide. So the first one is regarding the Tetra Pak index that I have shared with you, which is something that we do, of course, both for us to understand what's on the mind of stakeholders, but also, and then how we can contribute to addressing concerns. But it's also something that we do in terms of creating knowledge and sharing knowledge with others. I think the second point to highlight here is actually what Aruna was talking about, how we as a company have worked in partnership and with new innovative approaches to really secure and guarantee the food supplies together with our customers through the pandemic. I also want to mention our Dairy Hub initiatives, where we provide support to smallholder farmers. And this in 2020, we expanded those initiatives to 39,806 farmers. And here our goal is really the primary goal is to increase the sustainability and income of these smallholder farmers, but it also has a lot of other sustainability related benefits, such as decreasing the food loss and increasing food safety and food availability. So more food saved and less lost. And then we have, in connection to that, we have also our school milk program, where we have worked in partnership to ensure 64 million children across the world in 45 countries have received nutritious beverages in Tetra Pak packages to their schools. And that we have managed to secure this throughout the pandemic. And then to also kind of look at some different parts of our business, also one highlight from our food processing technology, which is the tubular heat exchanger equipment, which has been the first to receive the certification from the European Hygienic Engineering and Design Group. So just one example from our products and related to food. Finally, we are as Tetra Pak really engaged in many alliances and platforms and industry initiatives that we feel that we can help provide knowledge, but also learn and help influence and share knowledge. And one of those, we joined the European Alliance for Green Recovery in 2020. And this is an alliance to highlight the role of resilient food supply chains in building a more sustainable economy. If we move over to people, some highlights here. We have in 2020 launched for the first time a formal sustainability initiative across all our base material suppliers that we call Join Us in Protecting the Planet. And here we really put forward more requirements and on our suppliers to help and contribute towards our environmental objectives. Because as I mentioned, we don't set the objectives only on our own operations. We set them, we have a climate goal that cuts across our whole value chain. So we really need our suppliers to contribute for us to be able to succeed. So we have set the ambition of reducing greenhouse gas emissions in our supply chain by 50% to 2030. And we also launched, on the package side, we launched a global campaign called Go Nature, Go Carton. And again, this was then to really inform about the role of packaging, that sustainable packaging can have in addressing sustainability challenges, as well as providing safe food. On the little bit more looking internally at Tetra Pak and the people side, we have received a Great Place to Work certification for Tetra Pak after pilot applications in 4 countries. And we have also pursued a high level of worker safety, and we have had programs to promote mental well-being of employees and colleagues globally throughout the pandemic. And we have also expanded our global diversity advisory panel, and we have established this type of panel across the different geographies where we operate. Finally, something we are very proud of is that in the CDP, the Carbon Disclosure Project, we are, for the 5th year in a row, we are ranked as a leader when it comes to environmental transparency and action. So that's some of the people. And then on the on the planet pillar, some of the highlights that we want to mention. I think that the first thing which has been really a highlight for us in 2020 is that we outperformed our 2020 climate goal. This was something that we actually set already in 2010. So this was a 10-year goal. And at that time, of course, the climate science and kind of the way that companies set climate goals looked very different from today. But in 2010, we set a goal to cap GHG emissions at 2010 level until 2020, despite economic growth and growth of our business. And by that, our goal was really to demonstrate decoupling of economic growth from GHG emissions across the value chain. So this was covering what's called scope 1, 2, and 3. And we have really achieved, we outperformed by far the goal of capping that emissions. We achieved minus 70% greenhouse gas reduction in our own operations, and minus 19% on the whole value chain. So this is something we are very proud of, and that has also then led naturally to the next step of our goal, which means that we have announced a net zero climate goal, and we have that science-based, it's approved by the Science Based Target Initiative for our own operations to 2030. And we have the ambition of net zero for the full value chain in 2050. When it comes to the packaging part, some highlights from an environment perspective, we have introduced packaging that are, both that we reduce the carbon footprint, but also carbon neutral package certifications, where we have the label of the Carbon Trust. And this was also the launch of the Tetra Rex plant-based package, where we have this carbon neutral label. This was launched in Ireland as an industry first. Then we have had a breakthrough in terms of the first aseptic package with a non-foil barrier, meaning that we have replaced the thin aluminum foil in the aseptic package with an alternative barrier that we have now the technical validation with a limited commercial launch. This will be one of the very fundamental steps on the continued journey and development towards the most sustainable food package. So if we continue then on the package, a little bit to mention one more highlight on the package side. We have continued throughout the pandemic, we have continued our efforts in collection and recycling across the world. And we have increased the global recycling rate to 27% in 2020. This is, of course, something that we are happy to see increase, but we have much higher ambitions to on this recycling rate. But it's a step we continue a step in the right direction. Finally, to mention also something highlight on the food technology and processing side, we have launched new breakthrough low energy equipment for processing juices and still drinks. And this is very important also, just to link back to the bigger picture in terms of our climate goal that we also have on this slide. If we look across our value chain, a very large part of our greenhouse gas emission or our carbon footprint in the value chain actually comes from equipment running at customer sites for many years. And if we can reduce for every bit, we can reduce the energy requirements on the equipment, that will have an impact for years to come when those machines are running at our customer sites. So these are some of the highlights from across food, people, and planet. And as I mentioned, I hope that you want to explore there's much more in the report. So these are just some kind of teasers. But finally, I also want to, of course, this is our report with the results from 2020. But since we are now in 2021, I want to offer you some also insight into what we are doing now in 2021 and a little bit our next steps on this journey. So I want to share a few points with you here. The first one is about our engagement in the UN meetings and the global agenda this year. We have engaged in the UN Food System Summit, which was the first of its kind in September this year. And also, as most of you are probably aware, we have the COP26 that are currently in its final stages. And in these events, we have our agenda as Tetra Pak has been to really advocate the need to decarbonize food system, and that this has a fundamental role in addressing the climate change challenges. And we have done this by both by engaging in the programs and in the events that are there, but also to arrange and co-host side events where we have put highlight on this issue to raise the attention to it. In terms of the journey then on the most sustainable food package, one aspect that we are working on is on the use of recycled materials. And this year we have integrated what's called attributed recycled polymers in our carton packages. We have also at the same time, we have accelerated our development when it comes to tethered caps, which of course is linked to the EU Single-Use Plastics Directive. This becomes a legal obligation in the EU in 2024, but we are anticipating this development and deployment. We also then, as mentioned, I talked in the previous slide about collection and recycling, and we have continued in 2021 and to increase our collaboration with partners. I mean, and just to mention some places where we have really implemented solutions: Poland, Ukraine, Vietnam, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia, but that's just to mention a few. And we then, if we look ahead in terms of the next steps in the, again, when it comes to our most sustainable food package, I mentioned that we had the launch of the non-foil aseptic package. So what our next milestone is to have this fully renewable aseptic package by 2023 launched. We will continue to invest in recycling equipment across all the markets where we operate. And this is just, as I mentioned, I mean, continuing the journey that we have been on already from 2010 to 2020. Again, we increased the number of beverage cartons recyclers with our contribution from 40 to more than 170. And the final point, to give you some kind of scale into the efforts that we are doing to drive sustainability of our packaging, we are investing 100 million every year in the next 5 to 10 years towards this objective. And I know that this was probably a lot to take in, and yet it's only a fraction of what we do. So, but this gives, I hope, a little bit of the overview from a global perspective. So I will be happy to hand over to the local team for some additional insight.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks so much for that. Like you said, this is really, you know, a snippets or highlights of a whole lot of things that are in the report. So I will really invite everyone, please do take some time to look into the report. If you do not have the link yet, I'm sure we will share it with everyone here. Have a look at it. If you have questions after that, we'll be happy to answer those questions, okay? Now, Lisa shared what we've been doing on a global scale, which is great. I would just like to zero in on what we are doing in Nigeria, because I'm sure many people on the call will be interested in that. So in Nigeria, we continue to really focus on food wastage and ensuring that we are supporting and working with our partners to have the most efficient production. Like Lisa said, 1/3 of the greenhouse gas emissions are coming from the food supply value chain system. And actually 1/3 of all the food that is being made is wasted. So, and that again contributes to about 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions. So really combating food waste is an important thing for us to do. And back here in Nigeria, one of the ways Tetra Pak is doing that is working together with our customers, providing sustainable and right size packaging solutions to avoid wastages of food. And also remember that with what we provide, it's an aseptic carton solution, which means that you don't only provide food in the right quantity, you can actually also store it over a period of time, which also reduces waste. We've been also supporting small-scale dairy farming in the last year. Together with our other partners, we provided them with solar panels for them to be able to have access to better water in their community, which helped them in of course, improving the yield of the milk they get from their dairy. So we've been very active on that one as well. And then when it comes to, collection of used beverage cartons, which for us is one big step change we are making. We did start in 2020 and we'll continue in 2021. Because one of the very important things when it comes to sustainability as a whole is recycling and circularity. And so we are really trying to accelerate that part of sustainability. And one way we are doing it is through advocacy, through education, and of course, the actual collection and recycling. So with advocacy, we are part of the Food and Beverage Reliance Association, Recyclers Association, and we are really driving, knowledge and how you need and what you can do with used beverage cartons. We are driving that actively together with the other members in the association. We are also educating. In 2019, we did educate about 10,000 school children. We stopped. We had a break in 2020 due to COVID. We are going to restart that early next year now, because we're trying to put plans in place to double the reach of the students and also extend it beyond the students and even into the homes in order to capture post-consumer waste. And of course, the collection part of it. So collection, we started out and we're collecting 10 tons of used beverage cartons every month. Now we've increased that to 30 tons, which is 3 times. Good achievement, but still not enough, because we should be collecting average of maybe 500 to 1,000 used beverage cartons every month. So that is ongoing. We are working together with some partners who are now, who understand the need and also see the business side of collection, and they are working and improving on that. And then the last bit, of course, is the recycling. What do you do with the carton when you collect it? And that one today, we have 2 partners that we are working with. One is using it directly to fabricate, nice looking furnitures and other accessories. And if you ever have time to stop by our office, you will see some of them. And of course, the other partner is going to use them as part of raw materials for the production of paper, external paper packaging. So we really, in Nigeria, it's accelerating recycling and circularity via advocacy, educating, collection, and the actual recycling of the material themselves. So Again, you will see us at a lot of speaking events talking about what we are doing, because for us, this is part of our business strategy. This is part of who we are. This is in our DNA. And like Lisa said, actually, the whole concept of Tetra Pak was built on sustainability, to save more than it cost. So with that, thank you so much. I think I'll hand over to Stella if there are questions that we can take. All right, over to you, Stella.
Thank you very much, Aruna and Lisa, for that insightful discussion. I see that we have quite a bit of questions, and what we'd like to do is just to ask if you can unmute and just ask the question so that we can hear you. Emma, I see you had 2 questions. Are you able to unmute to ask your question? Probably tell us what media house you are from. Emma, I can see you, but you're on mute. If you can unmute.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah.
We can hear you.
All right. Good day. Yeah, I have 2 questions. The first question is about concerning Nigeria, my country. I want to find out from you what could you say is the greatest achievement of Tetra Pak, in terms of sustainability initiative in Nigeria. That is one. Achievements of Tetra Pak in terms of sustainability initiative in Nigeria. And the second one is about the high cost of foods items in Africa, Nigeria in particular. You see, food items have gone so high in Nigeria and in Africa, so that even the common ones cannot even afford foods, common food to buy in the country. It's become very expensive. So I'm asking the partnership Tetra Pak has with farmers, local farmers, to boost foods availability and affordability in Africa. Thank you.
Okay, I guess I will take that one. Thank you, Emma. 2 great questions. The first one, I think I did address it, but I will try to just to reemphasize it again. So when it comes to Nigeria, very specific things is we have, one, created the awareness, which was not there before, about the impact of carton, about what you need to do when it comes to used used beverage cartons in Nigeria. And we don't only talk about it, we've taken a step to partner with the right recyclers, with the right waste collectors. And now we are collecting not just 10,000 tons of waste material, we are collecting 30,000 tons of waste material, and we are recycling it. So that is a step in the right direction. Like I mentioned, that is just the beginning, because there is so much to do. And then also, I did mention as well that we started with awareness for school children, which we did in 2019, very successful. Just educating people and getting them to know what sustainability is all about and what they can do to support the environment. And that we did 10,000 kids in 2019. We will ramp up at the beginning of next year, and we intend to at least double that and even expand our reach. So those are just 2 main things that we are doing, amongst a lot of other things that we do. And if you do visit our Facebook page, you will see some of the things that we are doing there as well. On your second question, this is also very important, because it's a subject that touches everybody. And for us, when it comes to how do we manage rising costs, you agree with me that one of the biggest reasons that we have rising costs is the cost of production and cost of production, logistics, and also the cost of storage. Those 3 things contribute, amongst many others, to why you have rising food costs. So when it comes to the cost of storage, that is one of the benefits we provide, where our carton options actually allows you to store and transport your food for a long period of time without the need for electricity, without the need for refrigeration, which will reduce your cost of production as well. And then we also are partnering with many of our customers where we find what is the right size of food. Instead of having, 1 liter of product, you can actually find a way to provide half of that to the people that need half of it, instead of just providing 1 liter and then half of it is consumed, half of it is wasted. So, those are two very specific ways where we are looking at, improving on the cost of food in the country. And of course, I did mention to you that we did partner as well with some of the dairy farmers, and we continue to look for ways to improve on that as well. Okay, I hope I managed to at least give some clarity on your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aruna, for that. I see that we have other questions, and Alade, you had a question. Are you able to unmute yourself? And just remember, you can raise your hand and we'll grant you permission to ask your question. So go ahead, please. Just tell us which media house you are from, and then you can ask your question. You're still on mute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Abiodun Alade. I work with Daily Trust newspaper in Nigeria. And I must commend what Tetra Pak is doing, which is commendable. But I just want to ask, how are you engaging other stakeholders and the public to support your mission of delivering food package made solely from renewable resources or recycled materials? Like, we all know that what you are doing is commendable, but I believe that it's a need for you to get more people involved and also to get the public involved so that we can be able to achieve this purpose. So thank you. That's my question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Alade. Brilliant question. Yes, please. You can start, please.
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's a big question, so I need to kind of break it down a bit. But if we start by, we really have to address this by different stakeholders, because we have many stakeholders, in this journey. So I think if we start with the general public that you mentioned specifically, basically from generally, Tetra Pak is a B2B company, that our customers are businesses, but our products, our packaging, of course, reaches the consumers. And I think one of the things that we have really increased lately, which was one of the examples that I highlighted, was our Go Nature, Go Carton campaign that we launched last year, which you can find all the information. And as part of that campaign was really to reach the general public as well, to inform about the benefits of use of renewable materials, the use of beverage cartons, and this journey that we are on towards the most sustainable food package. So there we really wish to inform. We have created articles, white papers, and more to raise the awareness about this. So that's a little bit on the general public. But I think that there are many parts of this. So one other part, I think Aruna mentioned advocacy as one part. So in our relations with policymakers, for instance, in Europe, it's also about sharing knowledge and explaining, why use of renewable materials can help in achieving the environmental objectives in the EU and in other places. And then to be able to succeed with this, we have to work closely with our partners in the value chain. We have a good starting point where, as you may know, our carton package has on average 70% made from paperboard, which is a renewable material if you manage it sustainably, source it sustainably, which we do. But we are also making then advances in terms of For instance, the plastic, the polymer parts of our package, which we already have packaging on the market with plant-based polymers, and we have been increasing that share continuously. It covers also caps and straws of packaging. Here, it's extremely important, of course, that to collaborate with our suppliers of base materials, so that we can have a supply and collaborate on increasing the supply of plant-based polymers versus fossil-based. Just to mention on recycled materials, which is another track we're working on, and I mentioned the attribute to recycled polymers, same thing. We need to work closely with our material suppliers to secure the development and signal to the industry. We want to buy these type of materials. We are ready, you know, to contribute to that development. So then our suppliers will also be able to prioritize that development and for us to secure that supply. So I think the suppliers is really one of the most important stakeholders for us to be able to succeed on this journey. But it's also about our customers, of course, and you know, working with them to support their environmental objectives and how we can do that through the further development of our packaging. So I think that there's many stakeholders we need to address. We are by no means going on this, working in isolation on this topic. So perhaps I don't know if there's something that you would like to add from.
No, thank you. I think that's really that's it. What you just described, we are actually now doing it at the, call it, local level in Nigeria. So we are engaging the National Environmental Standards and Regulation Enforcement Agency, NESRA, together with our partners and other stakeholders in FBRA, where we are discussing and trying to find out what is the right way in order to, you know, manage this whole sustainability discussion. So that we are engaging the right agencies, the general public as well. We are doing that. We actually have sensitization programs that we are running around Lagos now, and we are busy finalizing a 5-year strategy plan, which we will share with the general public very soon. So yes, we can't do this alone. We need every hands on deck, and we will do that. And I'm sure very soon you will begin to see what we are doing with the other stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Aruna. I know that there are a lot of questions and we can't answer them all in this 1 hour, but we have a quick question for you, Aruna, from the Daily Times. And I'll just read it out for you. It says, how did the spread of COVID affect your sustainability approach and efforts? Just quickly.
Okay, I think, you know, it gave us a different challenge, like I said earlier, on how to respond to all of this. So one, we had to find, you know, how do we continue to collect used cartons? How do we continue to support our customers to produce during the entire lockdown? And that was very crucial because, you know, the whole 6 months, the first 6 months of total lockdown, we had our people continuously delivering paper packages, delivering equipment, delivering services to ensure that there was no shortage of food supply. So yes, it was a big challenge, but we did respond to it in a very good way, and that we got some good appreciation from our customers as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aruna. I see that we have a question, but I think we're running out of time, but it says, what has been your response to the Nigerian market to your business? Just a quick one, like 1 minute.
What has been the response of the Nigerian market to your business? It's getting better. Of course, you know, the pandemic slowed down a bit, but the recovery is starting. We are seeing it, and more and more people. One of the things that came out during the pandemic is people are becoming more health conscious, more environmental conscious, like Lisa shared in our report, and that we are seeing translating into our business now, because there is a lot of move into healthier options, and carton solutions provide healthier options most of the times for beverages. So yes, it's a good response, slow, but it's improving.
Thank you very much, Aruna. Lisa, last word from you.
Excuse me?
I just said, any last comments from you as we close the webinar?
I think we have covered the most important parts. I'm glad we were able also to answer some questions in the end. So I'll just want to thank you for the attention to these important topics, and hope that you will be inspired to explore more. Yeah, thank you.
So thank you very much, and thank you very much. I know we would be talking about sustainability for the next 2 hours if we kept going, but I want to take this opportunity to thank you all, the journalists who joined the call. Just to say that we have an open line, so please send all your questions to me or to Timmy, and we will get the panelists, and Aruna is available in Lagos if you want to do a one-on-one. Please do reach out to me, and we'll be able to organize for you to have the interview, and we'll have all the answers for you. The press release is available for you, and we are here if you have any questions. And thank you very much, and have a great evening and afternoon, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thank
All
you,
right, so
everyone.
much, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.